My first job, I went to St. Louis, and they were, after a couple of years, they lost their transplant surgeon at Emory doing the adults. And so they recruited me, and I saw that there's a lot of opportunity here to do pediatric heart surgery. So I said, I'll come and do your adult transplants if you let me do pediatric heart surgery. And then once I got here, I started doing pediatric heart transplants too.
Nick is my youngest of 4 children, and if he'd been born a couple of weeks earlier, I would have had 4 children under the age of 4. But we did not know he was going to be born with any kind of heart problem. We found out when he was about 12 hours old, and he was sent to Eggleston, which is now Children's Healthcare Atlanta. And we had no idea that he was going to have any kind of heart problem, and had no idea it was going to be quite so severe. And out of the 6 major heart issues you can have, he had 4 of them. And he was missing a ventricle in his heart, which was a major issue, and also had a narrowing in his aorta.
He was born with a single ventricle. It was called double inlet left ventricle, but he also had his aortic arch, which is what supplies the body, was very small, so we did what's called a Norwood procedure when he was a baby. And then typically that's a series of 3 operations, but we were never able to get him to the second stage despite trying to rehabilitate his pulmonary arteries. So we decided that transplant, which we offer only for patients for whom there is no other option, there seemed no other option for Nick, so we decided to go ahead with the transplant.
Through GTF, I was able, through the mentoring program, to help other families that were in the same sort of situation that we were in. I got to share our experiences, and oftentimes it just was a matter of taking Nick to the hospital room where a child was waiting on a transplant. The parents just wanted to see that their child would live, and that they would survive, and they often didn't have questions they wanted to ask. They just wanted to know that there was life after transplant.
A transplant doesn't end at the operation. In fact, it starts at the operation. It's a lifelong problem of giving medicines, worrying about infections, worrying about rejections, and there's a whole list of medicines that have to be given. There's all sorts of, the government doesn't always support the patient financially. The insurance companies don't pay for things, and there are times through no fault of the family or the child that things go missing, and that's where Georgia Transplant Foundation steps in and gets the job done, so these families can get their medicines, take their medicines, make their appointments, stay in the state, and enjoy their transplant.
I'd like to say thank you from my husband Andy and I to the Eggleston transplant team, and thank you to Dr. Kanter for giving us Nick and for keeping our family together.
GTF's been terrific for our patients. I mean, we've had so many patients or families who are struggling, and they can't get their medicines, they can't get their transportation, they can't get the power bill paid, whatever, and GTF just behind the scenes steps in and gets it done, so they're a tremendous organization. Nick has done quite well, and he's immunologically privileged, as we say in the organization, in that he's not had much trouble with rejection. He has had one interesting setback, not related to his transplant, but related to his original operation, that I think when he was 8 or 10 years out, we had to do some huge reconstruction on him. But other than that, from a transplant standpoint, he's our poster child.